best beard in the history of wrestling belongs to our guest here today. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I'm Jason Sedoris out of Louisville, Kentucky.
And this is, of course, if you guys saw the thumbnail, this is an official's perspective review. Jason is a very long, I'm not exactly sure how long Jason's been officiating. We'll get him to tell us here just in a minute. But Jason is a very, very long tenured high school and I believe college wrestling referee here in our great Commonwealth of Kentucky. So, Jason, how long have you been officiating?
I think this is year 13 or 14 for me.
I got you. And how long have you been doing college, Jason?
I did college the past 2 seasons, and I've just come back to just high school and stuff in Kentucky this year.
I got you. And of those 13 or 14 years, how many state tournaments have you done consecutive? Or I guess altogether, just total.
My first was 2013, and every year since.
Okay,
so 11 straight.
And you've had some prime time matches. You had the Jordan Blanton Max Androni match in 2015. You had the Spencer Moore Cole Thomas overtime match in 2019. You've had some, but we'll get to the match that you selected here a little bit later in the video.
I've had Mason Smith and Micah Irvin. I think it was 2017. They were both nationally ranked at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a heck of a match. And of course, you guys watch a lot of videos on the channel. You've seen Jason in a lot, whether in the referee lingo, if you're the head official, it's called being on the whistle. And a lot of matches where you've been on the whistle for the state finals and a lot of assistant roles. We've officiated, I don't know how many meets together over the years. And it's what we're finding about this series is so many people are being drawn in to the stories that the wrestlers have about what they had to go through, what how they got into the sport. So I guess the next question I have for you is, how did you get into wrestling and how did you get into officiating?
So wrestling, I didn't start wrestling until my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
My freshman year was there and had a friend say, "Hey, come out for wrestling." I'm like, I don't know. And he stayed on me. Sophomore year, I came out. He ended up quitting. I stuck with it. Graduated 98. Started helping out with the team for like about 3 years, I think, with my high school team. Switched over, went to another high school in Louisville at PRP. I graduated from Valley, coached there for a little while. Started coaching at PRP in 2001. Stayed there through 2009, I think. And then that's when I got my referee license. So refereeing. I started refereeing because I told my wife, I said, I'm not getting out of the sport. The sport is who I am.
Right.
Well, my kids were born in 2007, 2008. And I was like, I can't get away from it. But I don't have time for coaching. Let me try refereeing out. And that was it. I really enjoy refereeing now.
I get it. And it is one of those things, man, once you get into it, it gets in your blood, right? It gets into you. Yes. And everybody kind of associates you with the sport and, with what you do. And the way that Kentucky is, such a long state is like very rarely outside of like maybe state duels, regionals, state tournaments, semi-states now, whatever it is. And every now and then the referee clinics, whatever, we hardly ever get to see or get to referee together. We're always busy, but you're usually in the Louisville area, Oldham County. I'm on the eastern part of the state. So it's not just with you, but, you're with like Andrew, Joe, Mike Ford, Friddle, Garrett, all the Rocky, Blake, all those guys down through there, Blake and Jake. That could be a tag team, Blake and Jake. Like I said, we rarely get to see each other, but we have Zoom calls all the time for the KWOA, and we'll have text change. Oh my God, you won't believe what happened today at, this school or so-and-so threw this guy out. I can't believe it, whatever. So it's, we may not officiate in the same gym every single weekend, but we have that connection, if you will, about what's going on. We try to keep each other in the loop of what's going on. So before we watch your match, before we get into it, because you picked out a very great finals match. In your opinion, wrestling, coaching, and now officiating, what has been, in your opinion, the biggest for the better change of Kentucky wrestling as a whole?
As a whole, the growth of the teams is just amazing.
Yeah.
When I was wrestling, we had maybe 60, 65 teams. I think now we're almost close to 140.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, in 25 years, that's amazing.
That's a lot. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not. I won't say too much on the coaching if it's gotten better or worse or stayed the same. I will say I do believe the officiating has gotten a lot better.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, like you said, we have these meetings, we get together, we just pick each other's brains all across the state. And that is only going to make us better.
Absolutely. And for me, getting to have of the 60 state finals that we've had so far from 1964 to we're filming this in November 23 is about the 90, about your Joe Carr, Ian Horn, Chris Dunn era, when Woodford was rolling, like 97 to about 2001, 2002, somewhere thereabouts. You can see how the actual wrestling has evolved. Like before 97, it was, let's try and move. If we don't get it, let's go back, reset, try something else, maybe try that move again. But you can see your guys, like I said, like Joe, Ian, Chris Dunn, and one match in particular is the Derek Mullet 2001 finals. We done Derek's memorial video with Josh Muncie, is the scrambling. And just how a lot of teams, now every team does it, but how the scramble overall has improved. And that's like, now that's wrestling to kids instead of like trying, like I said, trying to move us back out. We don't get it. That's been, as far as the wrestling goes, that's been the biggest thing for me. Like you said, watching, and no offense to the referees that come before us, but the sport had, the officiating has improved exponentially. I mean, it just has. Everybody's kind of got on the same page. And it's great to see that we have evolved. We've not stayed, because if you're not evolving, then you're not doing what you're supposed to. And, guys are able to go out and do national level tournaments now. Some guys, officiate college, are able to bring stuff back. Hey, why don't we try this instead, see how it works? And like I said, the officiating in Kentucky, man, I'd put us up there with anybody. I don't care what state it is. I'd put our top 15, top 20 up there with anybody. So when I asked you, reached out and said, hey, man, I'd like to do this before the season started, you sent me a list of matches, and this one was at the very top. It is 2021, Cole Thomas of Ryle and George Ferree of Trinity, 126 pound. Of course, the COVID year, 2021 was weird for everybody. It just wasn't weird for wrestlers, coaches. It was weird for the referees as well. I don't know how many times I got, or I'm sure everybody associated with just about every sport would come home, see something on Facebook. If you attended this meet, if you were around this team, quarantine yourself. Because this was the year, 2022, I tested positive for COVID and had to miss the state duels. And it was kind of I sent Andrew a message, hey, you're not going to believe this. I tested positive for Miss Rona. But this match is great. George goes on to be a two-timer. Cole, four-timer, current collegiate wrestler. So the end of the match is why you chose it. We're not going to say why. It's a great. You do a phenomenal job with it.
Thank you.
And after we watch it, I kind of course, we'll get your opinion on it. We're going to go ahead and pull it up here, and we're going to go. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's hit it. So when you're out on the mat, Jason, whether it's the state finals, or Tuesday night duel at PRP, your officiating style should not change, correct?
Correct. I referee every match exactly the same, first match of the year to the last match of the year.
And that's the way it should be. Consistency in officiating goes a long way, and you can see you're keeping your distance. You're letting the wrestlers have their space because you're a veteran. Because a lot of new referees, they try to get right in on the action.
Yeah, I'm getting a little closer here because that's where action brings me.
Yep. Right there, you give Cole 2. You got Mike Ford as the assistant there.
Yeah, Mike did an awesome job for me in this match.
All right, right of bounds. The way you held your hand up, like, Red's in control. Kind of a for me mechanic, if you will.
Yeah, that's not in the book, but that's for me. Yeah, like you said.
And that's a good little teaching tool there. You have a caution on green. You called it like you should. It's perfect. Now, new officials, notice what Jason done there. He started them, and then he moved to his side. He didn't stay right there in front of them.
Right.
Again, Mike isn't crowding. The assistant isn't.
I think we're getting near fall here. I'm off
I believe
the screen,
so. The camera angle just doesn't show it. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Right bounds. And yep, you gave 2 near fall there for Thomas in the orange trim with black singlet. Got another caution on George on the bottom.
That's a second, right?
That's the second caution. Yep. Like again, once you blew your whistle, you kind of moved off to the opposite side. Just kind of, you don't want, I guess, the wrestlers to kind of know your moves, anticipate your whistle blow, kind of change it up every now and then, move different sides.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing I brought from an evaluation from college. They said when you're starting the wrestlers, alternate sides. You still want to be off at that angle. Alternate sides because sometimes the wrestlers, they'll learn what side you're going to be on, and they'll use that.
Absolutely. And right there, during between the first second period when you flipped your disc and went to choice, I mean, that was a quick process. You didn't, beat around the bush. It was maybe 10 seconds at the most from the time you flipped it to the time we're back ready to wrestle. And that's something that new officials, even current officials, maybe you got some time in. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. Just get it in, get it done, boom. Now, you're focused on the action there.
I'm looking for any improvement on either wrestler here, and I'm going to call it a stalemate because they're not going anywhere.
Right. So it's been, outside of a couple cautions, which that's probably nerves on George's part, it's been a clean match. It really has no penalties. Nothing yet.
Showing nothing.
Yep. There you go. Cole gets a 2. And
yep.
Now, this sequence right here is, I have to imagine why you chose this particular match.
Well, is it right here?
I believe it is right here. Yep. Now the camera, now there it is. You call a pin right there on the line, and as soon as you call it, Trinity's coaches come out of the corner. You signify. Of course, we couldn't, raise the kids' hands. We had to show them. So let's go back and kind of talk through that pinning sequence there, because you have a lot more to say about it than I do. But walk us through what you saw, what the rule book says, and what you were looking at whenever you had that close of a line pin.
Man, so they have changed the rules on out of bounds, inbounds, and scoring in that scenario so many times throughout the last, I don't know, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I saw is green go to his back, red was on top. My assistant let me know, hey, we're still in bounds. And the reason we were still in bounds is because green's shoulder was still on the line. When the defensive wrestler has any part of his near fall criteria, his scapula's back, shoulders, any part of that inbounds, his entire body is in bounds. So in that situation, we are all the way in bounds, and I'm counting near fall, looking for a fall.
And if you will labor with me just a second here, I want to pull something up, and that way we can, because there's a great photo that I want right there.
Yes. So obviously, I've already seen what I need.
And I mean, by the letter of the law.
Yeah, I'd already seen what I needed to see. That's why I'm looking away.
Yep.
But yeah, his left shoulder is down on the mat, clearly. And that was the only thing in bounds. Red may have had a toe in, but that's all of the supporting points that we need to be in bounds in that situation.
And like you said, you're looking at the mat here. This is probably taken, I would say, half a second, maybe a little bit.
I'm blowing the whistle here. I'm blowing the whistle here, and my hand's getting ready to come down.
Mm-hmm. And just so we're clear for everybody, the whistle signifies the pin.
Yes, sir.
So that way, people may be new to the sport. You're just getting into it. Maybe you're a referee. When the whistle signifies the pin, the slap in the mat is part of it, but the whistle, when that whistle blows, that first decibel goes out. That's what signifies the pin.
Yep.
So, man, it was and of course, the mic comes over to you afterwards. I'm sure he probably is saying something to the effect of good pin, good call.
He was saying exactly what I just said.
Yep.
He was on his back. He had that point in bounds. We were in.
Yep. And it's you in a situation like this, the state championship. I mean, you got to have a good assistant out there, somebody that's not out there just taking up space. And as soon as you blow the whistle and you've got somebody that's been there before, that's coming to you and saying, "Good call, man." That I'd have called it the same way. That does make you feel like, whew, man, I need a bottle of water or something after that one. But it's just a great example of knowing the rules, of knowing what the current rules are. Just because it may have been a rule, like you said, that's been changed 10 years ago, doesn't mean it's the way it is now. I don't know how it is where you're at, but like we get a lot of like youth meets, elementary, middle school meets, and guys that may have wrestled in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever, their kids are coming up and they'll be like, well, that's not a rule. I mean, if you would maybe, get a book, ask the coaches for a book.
I get that in my neck of the woods too.
And just be, like I said, it may have been a rule when you were in school. I know when I wrestled, we could weigh in naked. I'm sure the same way with you. You could weigh in stripped down. I wasn't comfortable with it, but sometimes I had to. Now it's you got to weigh in your singlet, mat side. It's not going to the locker room, stripping down. And some of the weight cutting methods that used to be used, it's not that way anymore. The same thing with the competition, with the actual wrestling rules. It's evolved, and that's why I love doing this series. Is let people know, hey, it's not the way it was when Clinton was in office or when Reagan was in office. We've evolved as a sport. We've evolved as a referee community.
It's a new game.
It is a complete new game. So the sport, as of this filming, of course, we know other people will be watching at different times, but as of this filming, November 6, 2023, what is one piece of advice you would give to like new parents, new guardians, people new to the sport outside of like officials that you would wish they would know?
So I would tell parents, be patient with everybody involved. Remember their kids. Let them have fun. It's not all about wins and losses. Youth, middle school, high school, let them be kids. Let the coaches coach. You can be mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. Let the coaches coach their kids. Let the referees referee the sport. It's funny that it's the exact same thing my son's high school soccer coach told us parents. Let the kids play, let the coaches coach, let the referees referee. You're not going to agree with how your kid performs every time. You're not going to agree with how the coaches want to do things. You're definitely not going to agree with the referees and all his calls. But let each one do their job, and you just be there and support them, and that's it.
That's a great piece of advice, because if you guys haven't seen the social media, about probably starting back in September, maybe even August, KHSAA started putting out social media posts. We need wrestling referees. We're in desperate need of, and of course you guys have probably saw my referee recruitment video. I've had to update it 3 or 4 times over the past however many years, but talking about let the referees referee. I can't tell you how many referees that I know just in my end of the state that had a bad experience with some coaches, some parents, whatever, and they're like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
And that's not a good problem to have when you have teams growing, girls and boys, schools growing, number of kids growing, and the number of officials, coming down each year. That's not a good. That's a bad problem to have. So, like, good advice. And for newer officials, maybe referees that's been in the sport 5 years or so, what advice would you let them have? Like, what would you want them to know?
I've heard other referees say this. I've had this said to me. It's very important to find yourself find a good mentor, someone that you can call on a Wednesday night after a duel and just talk about matches. Someone who's you can work with on Saturdays, and you're there with them and just go over situations. I had 4 awesome mentors in Louisville, and I can't thank them enough for what they've given to me and how I've found success in this.
No, that's an excellent point as well.
And even to the veteran officials, make yourself available to those young guys to be a mentor. Seek them out and work with them.
And my first year of officiating was the 03-04 school year. And I had to go because there was no other official on this end of the state. Nobody. I mean, there was not a soul. There was rest in peace to George Keeney. He passed away on us a couple years ago. And Jeremy Cowan was the only two. They were in West Virginia, and they would come over and do some of the meets at Sean Clark, some of the meets at Johnson, but that maybe once a year, do regional, state, whatever. But I had to go to practices and just watch and referee like round robin for teams just so I could see wrestling, because I was like,
get your reps. Yeah.
I want to be good at this. And that's why whenever I kind of got the bug to do the rule series here on my YouTube channel, I was like, I know there are other people that want to get into this sport, that want to do it, that are in the same boat as me. I think I should go ahead and pay it forward and make this rule series and give me something I wish I had when I was first starting out. And the rule series has been a great success, been a great tool. I admit some of them need to be updated. Some of them are a little old. Some of them were filmed. All but I think probably 4 or 5 were filmed with my cell phone. I get mom and dad had like a 1980s era tripod. I'm over to their house and got a Radio Shack tripod, and I bought a $15 cell phone holder off of Amazon, and I went to the schools and just set up my camera and just went. And I was like, man, it doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be Hollywood quality, as long as the information is accurate and the situations that we're showing are accurate. And a lot of people from across the United States has found the series, if you will, and been like, man, I didn't know this rule. I didn't know that rule. I never realized this. And that is something that make yourself available. I didn't really have anybody that I knew in the state that I could call, reach out to and say, hey, what do you think about this? If I done bad, I didn't know any better. And now, with the KWOA, the way that we've got our officials kind of organized more than they ever have been. Like you said earlier, the officiating across the board has improved. So it's good that, we have kind of got our act together, if you will.
Right.
So, Jason, anything to wrap this one up, man? Anything you'd like to add, say, take away for the greater good, the greater negative, anything like that?
Yeah, new officials, keep asking questions. Us veteran officials will always be there to help you out. And veteran officials, just be present. I don't know. Talk to these high school wrestlers. Keep them involved in the sport after high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
We still need officials.
Yeah, and we had to send our numbers in to Kenny the other day on email,
right?
And I counted mine up, and we have in my region. And for those of you that know the geography of Kentucky, we go from the Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio border at Greenup County, Boyd County, all the way down to the Kentucky-Virginia border at Letcher County. I forget how many teams we have in our region. I think we're probably like 19 teams right now, and we had 8 officials. We had 3 veterans, 4 new, and then one guy, I'm not sure his name, I forget it, listed in West Virginia. So we have all these mats to cover, all these teams with 8 officials that we know of at least. So it's gonna be tight. Gonna be a busy season. But guys, that's all that I have. Jason, man, thank you for joining us and doing this official's perspective, because so many people see us on a weekly basis. They see us at these tournaments, but they don't really know us. Oh man, that daggone bearded guy's here, man. I don't like when he calls stalling too quick. Well, maybe if he wouldn't stall, maybe we
They've
don't have to
called me
talk so
something
quick,
else
right?
before too.
Huh?
They've called me something else before too.
Yeah. What's the old saying? Being called worse by better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's all that we have. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the mats.